Okay, welcome to Thanksgiving Tree Activity. This is a Pack 62 adventure presented by PlanForAdventures.com. And in this video, what we will be doing is we will be creating a Thanksgiving tree as part of our Thanksgiving Crafts activity packet. And this is a great activity that you can do to create a fun craft and a fun game that can be played at your Thanksgiving table. It's really simple with some really basic supplies. So the supplies that we'll be starting off with is a piece of cardboard. And if you do any kind of online shopping, you most likely have a lot of cardboard boxes laying around the house like we do. So you can just cut just a small piece of that cardboard box and use the lid from that cardboard box for this project. We'll also need some different color craft paper. So I have this craft paper that I'm going to use right here. We'll need some art supplies, so I'm just going to use my pencil for this demonstration, but you can use any kind of art supplies that you like to use. We will also need a pair of adult scissors, and for your grade school kids, you'll need some scissors that are appropriate for them, and we will also need some tape. So these are the supplies that we'll need for this craft. So let's just take a quick look and figure out what is a Thanksgiving tree, you may be wondering. A Thanksgiving tree is a art project that you're creating a tree where you can then put leaves on, and you'll ask everyone who's showing up to your Thanksgiving meal to write something that they're thankful for on a leaf and put it on the tree, and you can turn that into a really fun game during your Thanksgiving meal. So let's go ahead and get started with making our tree first. Now, making the tree, it's a little bit difficult, so this really recommend only the adults do. So either your host can do this or your adult partner can do this. This is probably not something for your grade school family member, unless if they're really advanced and they're really good with scissors. So the first thing that we want to do is we're going to draw out a shape of a tree. So I'm going to make this kind of a long trunk right here, and we're going to go up like this, and I'm going to kind of just make a couple partial tree branches in the top here. We'll be cutting this out with scissors, so straight lines are probably your friend unless you're really good at cutting cardboard. And I'm going to bring this tree trunk back down. So you may be able to see I have a shape of a partial tree here. And of course, your tree size will depend on how much cardboard you have, and also how big of a space you have to work with, and how big your table is too. So now that I have my tree shape, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this out. Now keep in mind, the lines that I just drew are the lines that are going to be on the outside of where I'm cutting. So I'm cutting on the inside of the lines so that I don't see the actual lines on my project. So let's go ahead and get started with that. This is the most dangerous part of the project, so make sure you're being careful while you're doing this. Obviously, don't cut yourself, anyone around you, or don't cut the space that you're working on. Again, I really recommend this is something that the adults should be doing, not really the grade school kids. Come back and make my tree branches here. Again, make sure that you stay on the inside of the lines so that you're cutting your drawing out of your project. And one last big cut to make here. Got a little stuck. Okay, there we go. So as you can see, it's a little bit of a struggle depending on how good your scissors are. If you have good knife skills, you can also score that with a knife and cut that out with a knife too. Just depends on what your ability level is and what tools you have available. So now I have a basic shape of a partial tree here. Before you go too much further, if you're artsy, you can decorate this to make it look more like a tree. So you can, with markers, you can color bark on there, you can put different shades of brown on there, you can use paints or watercolors. You can decorate this to make this look like a really nice looking tree with whatever art supplies you feel you're comfortable with, or you can also leave it, it's brown, so it does kind of look like a tree as it is. So whatever your artistic ability is, feel free to explore and make this as good looking as you would like. So we have a tree, but this tree is not going to stand up unless we make a base for it. So the next step is to make a base, and I'm going to just take one of these pieces of scrap, and maybe this one looks pretty good. So basically measure out how wide I made that tree, make a cut right here. I'm going to make this into a semicircle, so I'm going to round this out. Okay, so this is almost ready. So this piece needs to be standing up like this in order for this to stand up and make a good base for a tree. So the way that you do that, the easiest way to do that, I probably should have made this base a little bit bigger, but the easiest way that you do that is you're actually going to turn this upside down. And now you're going to cut in only part way. Okay, so this is the trick, is to cut only part way up. Keep those pieces together. Make a second cut. Again, only part way. Okay, so I only went part of the way up here, and I kept those two together. So now I have two cuts that are identical on both pieces. I'm going to move that flap up. See? Move the flap up, and let's go ahead and cut this off. I'm going to do the same thing with this flap. Go ahead and move the flap up and go ahead and cut that off. And now I've made the exact same cut, so this should line up perfectly to make a flat base. And if you did that right, it will. So you can see that lines up perfectly so that when I stand this up, I'll have a nice flat base on there. With my camera angle, if I stood it up, you wouldn't really be able to see it very well. But if you do this the right way, those pieces just fit right into each other, just like that. Nice flat base, and now you have 4 points of a base that's all going to keep that tree standing upright. So your tree's pretty much ready. At this point, you're ready to make sure that it's decorated and looking fun. And that's really the adult portion of this project. So I'm going to go ahead, move my scraps out of the way here. This is all just garbage at this point. And now we're ready for your grade school family member to do their part. So we're going to take some paper, and we have our tree, and now we're going to start making our leaves. And so it's important to keep in mind how big your tree is and make leaves that are a size that makes sense, but also a size where people can write something down on there. So you'll just have to take a look and see how big your tree is and try to find a size that's going to look good. Basically all we're doing is going to draw an oval on here. Again, people are going to be writing in the middle of here, so you want to try to make it as big as possible. And this is where your grade school kids can come along. They can draw their ovals on here. They can draw other types of leaf shapes on here, whatever it is that their artistic ability is. And then with some kid-safe scissors, they can go ahead and cut out their leaves. Again, try to cut so that you're either on the line or you're cutting inside the line so that you don't have that line on your project. Okay, good. So I have one leaf here, and this is basically, you would want to make a whole bunch of these leaves and put them out at your Thanksgiving table. As your guests are arriving, ask them to write something down on the leaf that they're thankful for. You can do this a couple different ways. You can either do this anonymously, or you can ask them to write their name on there. You can ask them to write just a single word, or you can ask them to write as much or as little as you want onto this leaf. So just for this demonstration, I'm just going to write family on here. And so this will be thankful for our family. And at this point, this tree will be standing up on the Thanksgiving table. So we'll pretend like this is standing up, and I'm going to go ahead and take my tape. Just a tiny little piece of tape. Flip it over. And I'm going to tape my leaf on here. And so you can ask everyone who's coming out to your Thanksgiving meal to make a leaf and put it on there, and then you can have a lot of fun creating a game out of this where everyone picks out a leaf and reads it. You can either use that as a conversation starter or use it as a game. So a really simple craft that can also be a really fun game at the Thanksgiving table. Again, this is part of our Thanksgiving tree activity, part of the Thanksgiving Crafts activity packet from Pack 62, presented by PlanForAdventures.com. And if you like this, go ahead and take a look for our activity packet. We have a couple other crafts that are really great for Thanksgiving meal, and really hope you enjoy it.